Hi, everyone. I am Jasmine Rice from VoiceQuest Agency, and I am here today talking with Coach Paul Ybarra. He is a mindset coach, he is a transformational trainer, he is a best-selling author, and he is a podcast host. And he blends straight talk with tools that you can use immediately. Hi, Paul.
Hey, how's it going? Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be chatting with you today. So, Paul, tell me if someone, that's a lot, what I just explained, all those things that you do. So, if someone asks you, what do you actually do, Paul? What do you say to them?
I help kingdom entrepreneurs like yourself break barriers, think bigger, lead boldly, aligning their mindset with God's blueprint so they can operate at their highest level. In a nutshell, that's what I do.
I love that. That's your elevator pitch.
Yeah.
Perfect. If on your in your workshop that you advertise on your website, that's called Blueprint to Breakthrough. You talk about practical action with four pillars, and those pillars that you have listed are breakthrough, clarity, action, and community. So I want to talk a little bit more about that first pillar, which is breakthrough. So you say on your website that for that breakthrough, you identify what's really blocking you. But how does someone really do this? My question is that if that question is presented to them, that, like what's really blocking you, some people might say, I don't know. Or perhaps they think that they know what's blocking them, but once they start digging a little bit deeper, they discover that it's something different. So, how do you really help people identify what is blocking them?
I I start with questions. That's the best way to draw something out of somebody. Is where are you at now versus where you were 6 months ago, even 3 months ago? Where is your mindset? Like, where are you at right now? And some people are, I'm good. Okay. Well, how good are you? Like, where is that space? And then also ask them the why. Why are you in this space? Are you in this space because you have something on the inside that you know you've been called to do? Or is it something that someone told you that you're supposed to do? So that's where the identity comes in to be like, well, somebody told me this and but I'm really not feeling it, but I went for it because everyone said that. I went through that. And so when I finally got to a place where I'm like, I'm not that person. I'm not in recovery. I did it for a short season and then I became the next level mindset coach. So that part of me is not dead. I still use those principles, but how can we create that win and why and then show them that how on how to get there step by step. But it comes back to identity and the mindset and just a ton of questions that they can ask themselves.
Yeah, just really digging in deep. I know if someone would just ask me that broad question, let's say 5 years ago when I was starting one of my businesses, and they would have said, like, well, what's your barrier? Or like, what's blocking you? I don't know if I would have been able to pinpoint that. So I really like the idea that, you ask a lot of questions just to really dig deeper to what is the root of what is actually blocking you.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I'm going to move on to my next question here. You have a very strong personal faith that clearly fuels the work that you do. So when you're brought into a team that has a mix of faith-based, multi-faith, or non-faith-based employees, how do you go about serving that entire group? So you want to serve everyone, but stay true to what your process is.
That's a great question. And I'll answer that with a question. A lot of times in these atmospheres is I'll have the question like, but how will you teach us what you know by not including the Bible, right? So I asked them this question: do you believe in gravity? Well, yes. Well, so do I, right? So those principles that are in my faith, those same principles can still be applied: identity, mindset, emotion, all of that across the board. And that's where I believe that as a kingdom entrepreneur is being able to use those same principles. The sky is still blue, the earth is whatever you want to believe, right? However that is, wind is still wind, seasons are still seasons, and we're all human at the end of the day, Jasmine. We're all human, we all cry, we all hurt, we all have pain. So it's not just this religiosity, but it's really understanding the principles of we're all human. We want to get to the same place. But if I can impart those principles into someone else's life that have helped me, I'm no different than anybody else. So that's how I come across when I do have these talks with, secular, whatever you want to call it. Um, I just don't bring that in. I leave it as principles and we keep it moving. And I'm glad to see people prosper.
And we're all human. I love that.
Yeah, we're human.
Yes, yes. You posted something on LinkedIn recently that I really liked, and you said that your voice is your offer. I loved that because I really could connect with that. And if I were to ask you to explain that to people, like if they didn't see your post, like what does that mean that your voice is your offer?
Well, in that post, and I think there was like a reel attached to it.
Mhm.
Everyone's voice has a certain sound. So your voice has a sound. When you spoke and when I met you, I'm like, there's something about the sound of her voice that is going to cause me to trust what she has, right? And so with me, I never had a real father, never knew him. Had a stepfather, but that's a whole different story. But people gravitate to me because I carry that father spirit, a very protector, very nurturing, very comforting, going to give them real talk. So everyone's voice has a certain sound. Some people call it frequency, some people call it whatever. I call it sound, right? So there's this certain rhythm that we speak in that causes a person to have the offer already in their mindset ready to buy. Why? Because they feel safe, they feel heard, they feel nurtured, and they know that that person can take them to that next level. Just like with you, with VoiceQuest, all of them. I'm like, okay, I'm jumping in. I'm on vacation, but I will get there, and simply because of the sound that you carry. So that's what that means to me. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that. I think there are so many people that I've encountered that are entrepreneurs or their business does require them to post on social media and they don't want to put their voice out there. They don't want to be on screen. I've heard people say, I don't like my voice or I don't like how it sounds or I don't know what I would say. And I really resonated with what you said in that post so much because I really believe that. I think that that's what builds trust when and it doesn't necessarily have to mean just for entrepreneurs. And that's what people want. We want connection right now, I think more than anything. And for people
Mhm.
to be able to see someone's voice, it builds that trust in them. That's what I think anyhow. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. 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 100%.
So what about someone who manages a team? Let's say, that they're not a solopreneur, they're not an entrepreneur, so it's not just about them. So it's not just about their voice being their offer, but they need to relate that to their entire team. How do you feel about your voice being your offer becoming the whole team's brand? What do you think about that?
That's a good one. That's a good one. And I learned this when I worked at a dental office. This is 20 years ago. Started filing charts, working part-time. I had moved, to and fro. But anyway, but there was something about the owner that we're still best friends to this day, that she saw something in me that she knew that I can help build the team. So what we did is we put together a protocol to where everyone had the same language. So no matter what the patient asked, everyone had that same answer, right? So that became the brand of the dental office is when you walked in, you had coffee, you had the sweets, you had the this, you had the good morning, you had the chart. Somebody would walk you back, the doctor would see your notes. So it was this creation of a culture, and that's what has to happen is the culture has to change, right? And so once the culture changes and you lift somebody up to say, man, that was so good. And here's the thing, even if they weren't an expert, just that one moment of That was good because it was better than what they did yesterday. It was better in their voice. They articulated it different. So that the voice being your offer is it starts with culture in a team. And once you can create that culture, then everyone is like, you did great. Why? Because somebody told me that I was great. Oh my God, you killed it. Oh, you know what? I'm going to use that. I'm going to use that tagline. Oh my God, your voice is your offer. Where did that come from? You follow what I'm saying? So it's like when you're able to not, and I believe this is where a lot of teams fail, is they want to duplicate themselves in somebody else. Take the person that's next to you, find the gift that's in them that you can impart that wisdom into that gift. Now that person can remain the same and still be them because they're going to reach people that you can't reach. I'll reach people that Jasmine can't reach, and Jasmine is definitely going to reach people that I can't reach. So I think it begins with the culture. I know I've kind of gone kind of long, but it's a team effort. And when we're able to do that, and then here's one last final note is that everyone in the team has to fit. And if you're not a fit, then you're not a fit. And exit them in the right way to say, listen, it's just not a fit. Like that's showing them mercy and grace, saying, I would rather tell you the hard truth now than wait 6 months down the line and you're trying to work on something that just does not fit. It's a puzzle piece. So once we get that straight, everything else falls in line.
So your voice is your offer becomes our voice is our offer, is what I'm hearing you say, really.
Absolutely, because it comes down to the rhythm. So
Mm.
if you look at a band, the drummer's hard, but the violinist is right. So it comes to that rhythm. If everyone has that rhythm and they're singing the song together, that entirety right there sells the whole album, not just the number one hit. Ooh, that was good. I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to use
that's
that.
good. I love that. I love that. Well, Paul, I could chat with you all day. This is just a little sneak peek to let people know a little bit more about you and what you offer. So thank you so much for chatting with me
Thank you.
today. And if your company is looking for a keynote speaker, a professional development workshop, or maybe you need help creating a full conference, you can contact us at let's talk at voicequestagency.com. And to learn more about booking Paul for your next professional development day, head on over to voicequestagency.com. Thank you again, Paul.
Thank you. Have a great day. Appreciate it.